We love a good homemade fruit pie, but there is nothing better than a little bite-sized raspberry pie tarts with mascarpone cream and a homemade raspberry pie filling.
These mini raspberry pies are good for your Easter dessert or a spring picnic, or even just to give to a friend as a gift.
Let's get started.
We're gonna get started by using pie crust. Now you can use your favorite homemade pie crust if you would like, but we're going to use just pre-made pie crust to be easy today. And we're just gonna roll this out. Okay, and now you're gonna wanna take just a little cookie cutter if you want, or cut out little circles about this big.
2.5 inches.
Yeah, 2.5-inch circles. And you're gonna wanna cut little circles in your pie crust as closely as you can to get as many as you can. Now you're gonna take your mini muffin tins, look like this, and just spray them. And then you're gonna take these little pieces of pie crust, press this pie dough into the bottom and the sides of the pan.
So while Maddie is getting the pie crust ready, I'm gonna go ahead and make the raspberry pie filling. We're gonna use fresh raspberries for this recipe. If you don't have fresh raspberries on hand, you can use frozen raspberries. I have a saucepan. I'm gonna add 12 ounces of cleaned raspberries into the saucepan. Set it on a medium heat and just let those raspberries get a little bit warm and start to soften. After you add the raspberries to the saucepan, just take a potato masher and mash the raspberries a little bit just to let out the juices. And as they cook and heat, those juices will be released. You'll want to let the raspberries cook for about 5 minutes. Stir the raspberries just a little bit as they cook, just to make sure that they don't burn to the bottom of the pan. And then as they start to bubble and steam, add 1 cup of white sugar. And then stir that in well. And just keep stirring the raspberries for another 3 to 4 minutes until the raspberry mixture starts coming to a very light boil. Now, in order to thicken the raspberry sauce, I'm going to take 1/4 of a cup of water, and to it I'll add 1.5 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. I'll take a fork and just whisk that up a little bit, and then drizzle this into the sauce, stirring the whole time while you're adding it. And then I'll turn the heat down just a little bit, and we'll bring that back to a boil and just cook it for 3 to 4 minutes until the raspberry sauce has thickened a little bit. You want to let the raspberry sauce just thicken a little bit. It will continue to thicken as they bake in the oven. After it thickens a bit, just set it aside and we'll let it cool off a little bit. So take a spoon, we like to use a bigger tablespoon or serving spoon, and just pour the raspberry sauce into the pie dough. Fill it up 3/4 of the way to all the way full.
I'm filling it all the way full.
We like full fruit pies. Again, the exact number you get is going to depend on how high you fill them, how much pie dough you had. Did you know raspberry pie is my favorite?
What? No, I didn't know that, actually.
I love raspberry pie.
I know you love raspberry stuff. I just didn't know that raspberry... I don't think we usually have raspberry pie at, like,
we don't.
Family gatherings
I
and stuff.
rarely ever eat my favorite pie.
Like, I don't even think I've had these, but I don't think I've ever had a full, like, slice of raspberry pie.
I'll make it for you.
Oh, yes. I would love that.
We have the oven preheated to 375 degrees. These will bake for about 15 to 17 minutes. Just watch them closely because ovens can be a little bit different. I'm gonna go ahead and stick this one into the oven. While the raspberry pies are baking and then cooling, we can make the mascarpone cream topping. Mascarpone cheese you can find usually in the deli section of your grocery store. It's traditionally the spreadable cheese that's used in tiramisu, but we are going to use it to make a sweet, creamy topping. I'll take 4 ounces, that's half of this container, and put it in a bowl, along with 2 tablespoons of sugar and 1/4 of a teaspoon of vanilla extract, and Maddie's gonna whip that until it's nice and smooth. So once the cheese is smooth, I have 1 cup of heavy whipping cream, and I'm going to pour just a little bit of that in first and let Maddie mix it. You can use a stand mixer if you'd like, if you find that easier to not have to hold a mixer. But you will need a mixer of some type for this because you have to mix it for a long time. Okay, I'll pour the rest in. Scrape the sides of the bowl as needed to get that cheese off of the sides. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna keep whipping that on high speed until soft peaks start to form, and it almost is going to start looking like a really thick whipping cream or frosting. This will probably take about 3 to 4 minutes. So you just want to make sure that the cream starts to hold some soft peaks, and that's how you know it's ready to pipe on top of your little mini raspberry pies. So after the mini raspberry pies have come out of the oven, you're gonna let them cool in the pan for about 10 minutes and then remove them and let them cool completely on a plate. Maddie is taking our mascarpone cream and filling a disposable frosting bag. We're using Wilton Tip 199 to be able to pipe some swirls on top of the little mini raspberry tarts. Don't worry if your pies overflow just a little bit. When you put that swirl of cream on top, no one will be able to tell and they'll look beautiful. And then we like to top the little mini raspberry pies with fresh raspberry. And here they are. We're Julie and Maddie from Taste of Lizzy Tea. Thanks for watching today, and be sure to check back next week for a new video.